my anime people? What is good, yo? So, I've been enjoying this show quite a bit, and as someone that gets to enjoy anime and get to really just put out their opinion on the full thing of if you truly want something to change, you got to change it yourself. And because of all of this that's going on, we don't really get to see the necessary changes of certain characters like Doc and all of these people who pretty much got to, experience all these things with what's his face, with Seth and all them, and didn't really change at all in the grand scheme of they, fought by him and they were separated and they all had their own separate experiences after their separations. Um, and Seth's just happens to be something that was way, way, way more brutal overall, simply because he lost somebody that he truly thought could have been a friend, an ally, and it really came out that he couldn't even protect her or keep her alive the way that he said he wanted to. So overall, it ended up hurting him more probably than he could ever imagine. Not to mention the fact that when we see him, this is like the saddest I've ever seen this kid, and it was sad. It was heartbreaking. Simply because with everything we've seen him go through, none of this stuff is like that bad. He always seems to hop back up and give it his best try next time. So to see him completely just like devastated, it hurt the soul. It really hurt to see him like that, and to straight up know that he might, not change for quite a bit of time, and he might be like this for a while. It sucks, but at the same time, it's because of the way everything had been handled, um, that really changed the outcome of everything. And I like that aspect of the show. It's another reason why hearing about him um, using that power and it was hurting his actual body is really cool to me, because now we have these um, limitations on things he can't do, or he might end up, not being able to do things that he always was capable of doing. So it's stuff like that that gives me hope for the overall show of Radiant to keep blowing my mind with just the character development. Even the girl who is with us all the time, and she's usually bipolar on and off and stuff. She even has, shown to be relatively understanding of Seth and just wanting to see more and more of his progression herself. But to see him completely like down on himself and hurting definitely isn't what she was expecting, I feel like. So to win or to like come out of this big fight in Rumbletown that ended up like destroying it practically, and him coming out a complete different person probably even shocked her to think that that was possible. This bubbly kid turning into, somewhat sad now because uh, overall the circumstances that had occurred. So that's just one of these things that the show truly shows me that it understands that with it being like that, it definitely helps me as a fan understand what they're trying to portray and what they're trying to get out. which I love that aspect. And not to mention, seeing him in Doc's clothes all episode was weird. I'm pretty sure that was Doc's outfit, right? Like a somewhat the same type of clothes Doc would wear. That was weird. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. If anyone did notice that, that was just one of the weirder things. Was his clothes got wrecked and he was wearing, whatever he could find, and it was a party, so he didn't want to wear the same old, same old. So, um, yeah, I truly want to see more people talking about this show, but at the same time, it's like my own little hidden gem that a lot of people aren't really hopping on board, which is fine by me, but at the same time, it just hurts the show in the long term of I guess it doesn't really hurt the show because the first time people are gonna watch it is they're gonna binge watch it, and that's the luckiest thing you get to do is binge watch an amazing show like this. So I'm more jealous of people who aren't watching now because they'll have so much time to pretty much get to watch all of it at once and see the character grow much faster than I did when I had to take a week off, and stuff like that. So stuff like that. Feel blessed that you don't have to wait a whole another week now to see what Seth's going to become. When him bringing up the Radiant was something that everybody kind of just giggled and laughed about. It was actually something he really, really is passionate about. So to see Alma and to see people that um, support him in actually all these things, that's when it came to a realization that sure, not everybody's going to be on board with this whole Radiance business, but that's mainly because of the taboo tied to it. The whole entire notion of if you are talking about it, if you are trying to do stuff with it, you end up being a marked person, So that's kind of the the whole gist of why you don't go out of your way to do things that the government or these evil inquisitors, are waiting for you to do. Because now, once that happens, you're pretty much just stuck doing whatever they want you to do, So I love that they bring up all this. This is if this was a recap episode, I wouldn't mind this, Um, because not only does it tell us things that occurred, it shows us what has, really beat our characters up overall afterwards. So that's the difference between a recap and actually giving us some context to really get into of how the battles treated them, how they feel after all these things have taken place. And that's what this show does really well as of now. And I can't wait to see them develop it even further as the show progresses. So, with all that being said, everybody, I hope you have an amazing day and night because we're going to be dropping that daily content. I got Fairy Tale coming out much later tonight because it drops in like 2 to 3 hours. So I usually just drop it later on. So keep your eyes and ears out for that, or just have your notification bell on me hit so you'll get the daily content as soon as it comes out. Thank you guys so much. The other thing that I kind of just wanted to touch upon with the whole Radiant business is if Alma it seems like she might have, after hearing what happened at Rumbletown, that was a good reason for her probably to check out how Seth is handling all this, because not only did they specify that someone was like an evil wizard or evil sorcerer, it kind of clarifies that he probably was doing a lot more than the papers are going to tell, which, I mean, Alma's pretty smart, so she knows there's probably some of the story that's left out in there. And not to mention the cat who calls Seth his title, the the king of debt, he straight up tells us, like he knows how all these things are gonna transpire because he's kind of putting it out there to happen that way, So because of that, we really get to understand that the cat guy can't be necessarily ever thought to be, neutral. This man's got some plans of his own, and because of that, I think he's pretty dangerous in my opinion. So we'll see where all of this leads. Because I mean, he definitely wanted all of this to happen, and to see it all happening now makes a lot of sense why he wanted it to go the way it is, because all the people that he could gain, Seth can gain on his side through this, if they were all down and on board, he could be looking at multiple people that can help him, pay off that debt and stuff like that. So that's kind of my seeing of it all, because not only do we get to see Seth becoming more in tune with his overall um, like emotions of just how he's gonna have to start dealing with all of this stuff. We also see some of his friends and close ones feeling the same way, or at least giving him space and not trying to force him to be the bubbly kid that they know, and really just allow him to cope with it at his own time. So these characters seem real, like actual real people, and that's why the show also has a really good spot in my heart when it comes down to these progressions. I can't wait to see what everybody thinks of this episode, and not to mention the series as a whole, because I honestly think it's going to be a lot better than a lot of people are giving it credit to be. So with all that being said, guys, I hope you have an amazing day, evening, night, whenever you're watching this, and I will definitely talk to you guys in the next one. All right, peace.